As concerned the fermentation process, as we have seen, in the whole process of the fermentation, there is a huge use of water. Water is very important in the whole fermentation process. Either that is upsteaming process, either that is downsteaming process, or that is the sterilization process, or to clean and to sweep the fermentation process. But in this whole fermentation process, a large volume of the effluent is produced. So during the fermentation process, sometimes the media contain different unwanted particles, unwanted heavy metals. There are different compounds that produce as a byproduct, either that is toxic elements when any organism grow. So that totally ultimately mix into that fermentation broth. But if we, after the recovery of the product, that the whole material which we collect at the end, that is known as our fermentation effluent. Most of the fermentation effluent is directly thrown into the water channels. That is not environmental friendly. So every fermentation plant utilize the raw material, as I have already told you, which are converted to the variety of the products. So depending upon the individual process, the amount of range of the waste materials are produced. So the typical waste might include the unconsumed inorganic and organic components of the medium, microbial cells, and other suspended solids, filter aids, antifoams, waste waters for cleansing operation, cooling water, water containing traces of the solvent, acids, alkalis, and human sewage. So historically, it was possible to dispose of the waste directly into the convenient area of the land or into a nearby water course. So this cheap and simple method of the disposal is now very rarely possible, nor it environmentally desirable. So as concerned the water authorities and the similar bodies have become more active in combating the pollution caused by the domestic and industrial waste. So as can increase the legislation in all developed countries, the new regulation of the discharge of the waste is applied. Even in Pakistan, then there is a law of effluent treatment. So when there is any use of any product, and then you cannot throw that waste directly into the water course. So as concerned with the liquid waste, it may be possible to dispose of untreated effluent to the municipal sewage treatment, because if you just thrown out your effluent into the municipal sewage treatment plant, because if there is a central facility of any industrial area, of any municipal area, you can directly put into that stream. But obviously, much will be depend upon the composition, strength, and the volumetric flow rate of the effluent, because the solid sewage treatment are planned to operate the locality of that. So as concerned the STV are the plan to operate with an effluent of the reasonably constant composition of the steady flow rate. So thus, if the discharge from an industrial process is large in volume and is intermittently produced, it may be necessary to install storage tank on the site to regulate the discharge of the effluent into that system. So normally the fermentation effluent do not contain the toxic material which may directly affect the aquatic flora and the fauna of the water courses. So unfortunately, most of the effluent do contain high level of organic acids, organic matters, which may be readily oxidized by the microbial attack, and so drastically deplete the dissolved oxygen concentration in the receiving water, unless there is a large dilution factors. So effluent may be treated in a variety of ways. By a number of processes, it may be possible to recover the waste organic material as a solid and sell it as a byproduct, which may be used as an animal feed supplement and the nutrient to use the fermentation medium. So the marketable byproducts help to offset the cost of the treatment process. So now it is now recognized that the water is no more the cheaper material in the world. So in a fermentation process, when there is a huge use of the water, with the effluent treatment process, we can recover the water. We can reuse that water. So if we can have the advantages of that water reuse, then we can use that water. So that directly depend upon our effluent treatment cost and the recovery of those products which we called as byproduct during the effluent treatment, that can reduce our treatment cost. So this is the strategy that how we can save the water. So as concerned the conservation of the water is now, there are different NGOs and different agencies who are working on the water conservation. So the fermentation process as involve the huge supply of the water. So by reusing of the water, then that is the very sustainable use of the water in fermentation industry.